Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today, we have to talk about it. Bad signs for Americans. The United States economy. A lot of people are watching one thing, and you know what those one things are. Make a comment down below on what you determine is a healthy economy, because we're going to talk about a few things so you can get prepared, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stop Struggling Now. We want you to be prepared for the downfall and for the upside. And welcome. Stop Struggling Now gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Please share the videos, because you never know who's out here looking for this information. And first up, let's go to the Stop Struggling Now YouTube podcast channel page. The reason why? Because we have a membership. Once again, we are monetized. Please share the videos, share the Stop Struggling Now on YouTube channel and all social media platforms and podcast as well. So here is what people look at first. So if you said this down in the comments section to begin with, most people go by the stock market. Why? Because that is what the news reports. They mostly report the stock market. Has it went up? Has it went down? And if it's trending up, which it does whenever they cut rates, which they're probably going to do next week, or whenever the Fed adds money to the money supply. Both are going to happen. So we are anticipating the stock market to actually increase over the next 2, 3, 4 months. So that's what you should consider being in. I will have a link down below for CoinEx. This is a broker that is not regulated in the US. So therefore, a lot of trading platforms may not allow you to use them. So keep that in mind. I'll have a link down below, and there's a reason that I like offshore. It's plain and simple. Whatever country you're in, be offshore, independent from your country financial system if possible. Now, I have Googled bad economic signs December 2025. You guys can Google the same thing. It'll come up. Key bad economic signs in December 2025. Strained consumer spending. Well, we knew that. U.S. consumers are under financial strain, and a lot of people are going to go, oh, no, they're not. We had record high buys on the Black Friday and record high buys on Cyber Sunday. So a lot of people are in denial because they think that means something. But let me ask you this. If prices are 20% more than last year, but you have 3 to 5% less buyers, are you going to have a high revenue number from previous year? Does that mean everything's fine? Or does that just mean prices went up, you have less buyers, so therefore it appears it's a record high, which it is, but it's in today's money, not last year's money. So keep that in mind. All right? It's that simple. Now, let's get into more of this because, again, this explaining away is crazy. But here we go. Increased reliance on buy now, pay later services for major shopping events like Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Are you getting it yet, ladies and gentlemen? You getting it? Weakening job market. Do you see that? The labor market is showing clear signs of losing momentum. The Institute of Supply Management, ISM, employment index fell below the 50-point level. Remember, we've talked about this before. Under 50 is a bad sign for the job market. All right. If you're new here, this is what we do. We go by the statistics. We go by what is known. We're not going by manipulation. So therefore, this is not a good sign. Other data points to a general showdown: increased layoffs, 1.5 million per month. Enough for you, ladies and gentlemen? That's right, 1.5 million layoffs per month. Think about that. That affects a large percentage of people. Now, that's a precursor to a recession. All right? You guys getting this? Persistent affordability issues and inflation, despite some rate cuts, which has nothing to do with inflation. But nonetheless, by the Federal Reserve earlier this year, affordability remains a major concern for many households. See this misinformation? Federal Reserve cutting rates has nothing to do with anything other than the rich being able to get loans, or corporations to get loans at a higher rate from the Federal Reserve or banking institutions. Individuals, you're burned, because it's plain and simple out here. We'll just make it simple. All right? We'll make it simple. Your interest rates for anything you're holding at a bank goes down. That's what happens with the federal funds rate. You do not get any benefit at all unless you run a corporation, unless you have anything to do with the Federal Reserve, where you can get bank-to-bank loans or overnight money and all that stuff. That matters. Just like real estate investment trusts or corporations, one of my favorite things when the economy's doing this, to purchase, because they get to restructure their debt when the Federal Reserve reduces the rate. So that means their monthly payment will get lower so that they can distribute more profits. Bingo. Okay. Hopefully this helps. Let's keep moving, shall we? I don't want this to be too long. We got some more stats. National debt and fiscal policy. Well, guess what? $38 trillion in debt. The big, beautiful bill is going to add $4 trillion over 10 years. And they've already taken $2 trillion out of thin air this year. And this year of 2025 is not over yet. That is the Trump administration. So now quantitative easing, add money to the money supply. That will also increase inflation. There is no fiscal policy. Building a ballroom that's going to cost $250 million or not, making a Gestapo force called ICE for $1 trillion, and cutting back on Americans' health care, that should not be an option. But now what's going to happen when you get sick, ladies and gentlemen? Geopolitical and trade uncertainty. Ongoing global trade policy. That's right. USA against the world. Tariffs are not good. Okay? Notice, global trade policy uncertainty, particularly regarding tariffs, is dampening expectations for economic growth. How many times have you heard me say this over the last 5-6 years? Tariffs are not good for anybody, and especially America that does not have manufacturing facilities like if it was 1950, 60, or 70. So get with the program, because that's not good. This uncertainty affects business investment and consumer sentiment. Wait till you see the stats. You'll see consumer sentiment is low. In fact, it should be danger zone when you start getting close to 2007, 2008, 1930s, and all that. When numbers start matching that, that's a problem. Slowing economic growth projections. That is correct. GDP is not going to be no 4%. Let's just call it what it is. While the economy has shown resilience, most economists forecast a slowing of GDP growth in 2025. The Conference Board has revised down its U.S. economic growth projections, pointing to an economy that's losing steam. That is what a tariff does. It creates economy losing steam. And also when the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, that also is to block steam and take the run up, the steam, the projections of inflated GDP, it starts coming down, because that is what tariffs and raising the Federal Reserve rate does. And also on reverse, when they're going to reverse it like they just started, and inflation goes up, and then they're not trying to stop inflation, meaning raise the federal funds rate, that means we will have a problem. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy, because here it is, right in your face. Look at what happens, what goes through the system, because there's a lot of people right now who's sitting there going, hey, what's going on? How come this is happening? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it happens because this is how long it takes. Response of inflation to 1% increase in tariffs. Look at this, year one. Look here, ladies and gentlemen, you're still going up. Year two. Guess what? We're not at year two. So you don't know the ramifications of tariffs is ongoing. It's going to get worse. And look at year three. Year 2 to year 3 is about the peak. But look at this. And then in year 3, after damage has been done, after you've done stripped your economy of any growth potential, you've effed up your citizens, now it starts rolling back down. And now you can walk away and go, oh, it's the other person that made this happen, all this bad stuff, because that means there has to be a response to help social services. That means the government has to spend more money for all the damage that has been done. Does that make it very simple for you? Hopefully. Let's keep it rolling. Look at this money supply situation. Now, this is global. This isn't the USA. This is global. M2 money supply, 38 trillion. Do you hear me on podcast? You guys hear me? Make sure you hit that check box, the heart, the star, whatever you got emoji. Just make sure you show some love. 38 trillion from 2007 is 38 trillion money supply to 115 trillion. Do you understand that's inflation? Do you understand? That's why it makes sense that if you went 17 years and you have increased the money supply by 3, wouldn't it make sense prices should increase at least by 3? Then if you have inflation and pandemics, wouldn't it make sense something else is going to happen? All right, these are all bad signs. The S&P hasn't been this overvalued since the dot-com bubble. Look here, 1999, 2000, 2001. Look how high it was, 35% plus overvalued. Guess what? 2025, 35%. Notice the last time this occurred, the Great Recession, was a little bit after. Just saying, and it was dot-com bust when it happened before. So something's going to break sooner or later. Another bad sign. But I have to give you guys some news, some happiness. Remember I mentioned CoinEx? The link will be down below so you can download that broker. And you can use MT4, MT5 as your software app, MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5. Now, here's the S&P 500. Look at all the green. Look at all of the green. Generally, it just 10 years go by, 1 red. 10 years go by, 8 greens, 2 reds. In the 2000s, after the dot-com bubble, 2 years of red, meaning red is bad. 2000, 2001, 2002, and then 2008, majorly bad, 40% down, S&P 500. So you can see here, 4 out of 10 years after the run-up, it was bad. Then from 2010 to 2020, once again, we have a minor 0.73% in 2015, but in 2018, we're back to the negative 6.25, but 2 out of 10 years, the S&P once again is red. 8 out of 10 years, it is green. This now, 2020 to 2020, soon to be 6, it's going to be 1 red. During the pandemic, during shutdowns, the S&P 500 is going to be red. But now 2026, you guys already know, they're reducing the Federal Reserve rate. Trump is going to have his henchman that's going to replace Jerome Powell, probably, meaning that's an additional vote that's going to be to reduce interest rates because the trust fund kid thinks that reducing interest rates helps the American citizens. It does not. It helps him and his rich buddies because they get to refinance all of their loans at a lower rate. unless you have a corporation or a business and you need loans or some type of funding and you can deal directly with banks and Federal Reserve, then you have a huge advantage over 90% of the population. It's that simple. Don't be in denial, ladies and gentlemen. But I had to show you some good stuff, and that's why I have the Candlestick Bible down below. That's right, the Candlestick Bible link where you can learn how you can do your own trading, because this is what the world is coming to. Already 11.7% of all jobs in America are AI related. That's why there's a lot of people getting laid off, because when you start going 11%, that is over about 12 to 15 million people. So if you only have 11.7% of AI jobs or jobs have been taken over by AI, guess what? There's going to be another 4 or 5 million in the next 6 months that's going to be lost as well. And the future also means no production. So now where's the manufacturing facility the job's going to come from if everything is automated? Even trading, even menial tasks. Now what? So now you understand why there is a serious danger out here on why we may go down the hill badly. All right, let's see here. I have a black screen. Let's go. Let me get this back up just a second. Okay. In the background. You guys can read that screen a little bit. So we'll get back to it. All right, there we go. Okay. Here we go. U.S. electricity prices. Did I not tell you guys this was going to happen? You guys want those data centers? You want those data centers, right? They need water. You're going to be having a lack of water supply. They need to run water and they need electricity. So now when the United States subsidizes, you subsidize the electricity companies, and they have to charge more money because a lot more juice is being used on their grid. So you can see what's happening. Do you understand yet? Still waiting for it to trickle down. I love this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the top 0.1%. This is wild. 5 trillion up to over $20 trillion. The 1%. Meanwhile, the bottom 50%, the OCs, ordinary citizens, look at this. What would this be? About 1 trillion? And look, over the last 30 years, it's still maybe 1.5 to 2 trillion. Meanwhile, the top 0.1% has over 20 some odd million. 0.1%, not 1%, 0.1% of the 1%. That is crazy. Do you guys understand? This is dangerous right now. Number of mass shootings. Look at this right now. Though this is by race. Between 1982 and August 2025, white person 84, black person 26, Latino 12, Asian 10, other 5, unknown unclear 15. Again, somebody says, police say this often when they see blacks, Latinos, Asians, I fear for my life, when they are not the mass shooters. Just saying. This is why America has a problem, because they're blaming everybody else. Now, ICE, $71 million, ladies and gentlemen. The most ever. In 2025, your taxpayer money is gone to ICE. And this is January 20th through October 18th. We haven't even got to November 18th, December 18th, or the other 2 months. So if we go by these numbers, it's going to end up being 80 some million, $85 million. And they took that away from your Medicare and Medicaid. Now you understand. And here's the worst part of all. This right here is what is needed for an hourly wage for a 1-bedroom apartment in America. Does anybody pay attention to this? It's $35 in Texas, I'm rounding up. $30 in New Mexico, $35 in Arizona, $41 per hour in Cali, $32 an hour in Nevada, $53 an hour in Washington, D.C. is needed. So do you think minimum wage is going to work? Illinois, $35 per hour. Alabama, $32 per hour. And the lowest is Mississippi at $29 per hour. Arkansas, $30 per hour. Oklahoma, $31 per hour. Do you understand? The majority of Americans do not make this money. And right now, you need to make $44 per hour. And that would be in places where you see the lowest. The up to $66 per hour, which is what would be needed for those places in the highest. $40 an hour is Cali. In fact, is there anybody else over 40 an hour? Even New York isn't. DC is the only places. Cali, Washington, state of Washington, $42 per hour. Then we have DC, $53 per hour. That is it. Everybody else is in their 30s. Again, you can't live in America at 30 something per hour. Do you guys understand? These are all danger signs. It's not going to get better. Unions are less than they used to be. Just saying. All right, let's go. Let's keep it moving. I know. How about office delinquency rates? See the correlations yet? See these upticks? The Great Recession. The the dot-com bust bubble. Recession. Great Recession. You see how high it is, ladies and gentlemen? 10%. Over 10%. Oil bust, 2017, 2018. This is when Trump came into office and he told OPEC to decrease the flow. All right? You understand, decreasing the flow out means oil prices are going to go up. They needed the oil prices to go up because oil is backed by the US dollar. And now look, the highest rate ever. Ding, 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 12% in 2025. This is office delinquencies, meaning those of you who do not believe that Elon Musk, the richest dude on the planet, will not pay in Texas. He will not pay his leases in Cali. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And in some instances, would not even pay his employees. This is what a lot of these rich guys do. They file bankruptcies. They play these games. They just don't pay because what's going to happen to them? Nothing, right? People are going to try and sue. Okay, great. But there you have it. New construction premium vanishes as well. That means new homes are sitting longer on the market. Older homes are sitting longer on the market. Price increases is going up. You see this, premiums have started to come down ever since 2015, 16, 17, and now we're back to hardly anything. So selling a new home is treacherous out here. Just think about that. And a home is not an asset. It is a liability. All right? Just keep that in mind. University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, 2025. Once again, these gray areas, they are recessions. Look at what happens when you get around 50. Recession, 65, 70, recession. I mean, going up is better. All right, in this case, this is Consumer Sentiment Index, CSI. But look what's happening. In these gray areas, it's always 67, 68, or higher. And so in 2000s, 1980, it was late 70s actually, and 80, we were around 50. Not good. After it was 1984, 85-ish, somewhere like that, after the trickle-down economics kicked in 1980, 81. Recession 4 or 5 years later. Okay. And then J.W. Bush, number one, he does the trickle-down thing as well. We have the savings and loans debacle, 89, 90. Another recession, but once again, it's around 67. This is consumer sentiment. Now, the very interesting one is the dot-com bust bubble. That's around 89-ish area, because that is stock market. That's not Main Street. See, there's a huge difference. Just because the stock market went bust, the rest of the world who's not in it, and remember the stock market's top 10% used to be owned by 89%. 89% of the stock market used to be owned by the top 10% of the wealthiest. Think about that. A lot of people don't understand. Now, the top 10% own 93% of the stock market. Let me know what you guys think after all this. We got more. We have more. These are all bad signs. Now do you understand? If you are an economist and you're sitting there going, oh, everything is fine, where? There's nothing indicates that it's fine. And a government acting like they don't have these numbers and do not have this information is treating their citizens as dummies. All right, let's go. We don't want dummies out here. Check this out. This is 2007, 8, 9. And once again, closer to 63, 64. And again, a few years later, but it did not go because we were pumping money into the system. Quantitative easing, all of Barack Obama's administration. But that's because they had to pay off all of this debt that was accumulated and stop banks from going out of business and insurance companies. Then we have a sliver, 2019, 2020 during the pandemic. And again, it looks like we're in 67, 68. Healthier would be 100, 95, 107. That just to give you an idea. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're back to 50% in 2025, just like during the pandemic. In 2021, 2022, it was 50% levels for Consumer Sentiment Index. Anybody have any questions? This is not rocket science. Once you have the numbers, you can easily see. New serious delinquencies. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 2005 to 2025. No matter what happened in 2007, 8, 9. No matter what happened at 2021. The delinquency for student loans has always been very, very high, about 10%. Cars has always been around 4 to 5%. Auto loans, not 4 to 5%. Credit card loans, 4 to 5%. Auto loans, around 2 to 3%. So all pretty low. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? On all of these metrics, auto loans, credit card loans, mortgages, student loans, they are at their high points. Not highest. The highest one ever is student loans. The second highest is credit card loans. Credit card loans is not the highest because 2008, 9 is the highest. But after that, guess what? 7.1 for credit card loans is the next highest. Guess what? 3% for auto loans delinquency. Guess what? Second highest, tied with 2008 and 9. And mortgages, 1.3% delinquency, clearly not going to beat the 2007, 8, 9 era. And it's not even really beating the 2020 pandemic era or any era before that. So this is starting to creep up. That means we have problems with debt, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why, what do I tell you guys to do? Uh-oh. Looks like I had a picture off. What did I tell you guys to do? If you guys didn't see that, that means I'll have to put this in post-production. But, hold on. Let me get myself back into the picture before I keep continuing. Once again, this is going to be a long video, so share the video. I'm not even going to chop it up. Hopefully this helps you guys out greatly. And I got to get back to getting this back on screen for you guys, because once again, we got to get there. We're not done. All right, we are not done. 773 picture, I need that up. So let's see. There we go. All right, now we're back to it. Here we go. Check this out. Oh, this right here, I just had to, because a lot of people vote by party instead of voting by who's trying to help you. And instead they watch certain things and they go, oh, this is true. Well, it's not true. Here is the stats from the 1940s, all right, up until 2020s. Red is Republican. This bluish is Democrats. GDP, Democrats in power outdo the Republicans significantly. Jobs, again, Democrats outdo Republicans significantly. Unemployment rates, Democrats are lower than Republicans, but it's not by a landslide. It's a little bit, 0.4%. But the point is, it's still less. Higher returns, stock market performance, 8.35% by a landslide, 2.7% by Republicans. Democrats' lawful governance, 1% corruption comparison, 1% for Democratic lawmakers, 18% for Republican lawmakers. Any questions? That's right. Go find out yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Now you understand when somebody goes, you're betting against your best interest. Well, you can see betting against your best interest would mean voting red. So being brainwashed into believing that red is better than blue is crazy when the numbers don't lie. This is why I love numbers, because I didn't have I have to break out for a second. This is why my teachers used to gaslight me, right? And other students, they'd gaslight. Like I told you guys before, they would say, Eric, you got a B, you got a C+. And I have encyclopedias at home. I have things that most students don't even have access to. My parents were very good on education. So I would write my papers based on information. They would tell me, oh, no, this isn't correct. I go, what are you talking about? I got stuff from the library. I got stuff at home. I double check my sources. This is my stuff. And then I go look at other people's paper and they got A's and B's or B pluses, A pluses, A minuses. And I'm reading their stuff and I'm just like, some of this stuff isn't even right. So my teacher's gaslighting me. Oh, Eric, yeah, well, you didn't do something right. I go, what are you talking about? I just read other people's papers. Their papers don't even have factual information and they take off and do other directions and stuff. And she's like, what? I said, yeah. So then they made a rule, no reading other people's papers and all this crap. So therefore, gaslighting somebody when they know the facts does not work. All right? Here's the facts, ladies and gentlemen. You can't gaslight nobody. The bust again. Office delinquencies once again. Oh, and this one right here. S&P 500 cyclical adjusted PE ratio. Oh my. Oh my. Roaring 20s. Here you go. What happened after this? You know what happened, ladies and gentlemen. The Great Depression. And that went for the next 10 years. Overvaluation zone. Again, Great Depression was literally almost 10 years. Not good. But you can still make money because the stock market was still going up and still going down. That's why I implore everybody, get the Candlestick Bible. The link is down below in the description box. Also, please join CoinX. That could be a broker. And use MT4, MT5, MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5. It links to CoinBroker. And learn how to trade. That's what you do with the Candlestick Bible. And then we go from there and we can talk on live streams. But look, the Nifty 50 bubble, once again, late 60s. Again, the overvaluation zone.com bubble, numbers don't lie. Overvaluation zone, Great Recession, numbers don't lie. Right here. Of course, it came down on the Great Recession. .com bubbles, of course, it came down. Now we have the everything bubble. And look where we're at. We're back up there with the .com bubble, a little higher than the Great Depression. That should scare the bejesus out of all the OCs. Life expectancy versus healthcare expenditure in America. Look here. Look at these other countries. 1970 to 2018. Look at this. Japan, Switzerland, Norway, Australia, France, South Korea, Spain, Italy, Israel, Portugal, New Zealand, Finland, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, UK. Look at, they're all over 81. Life expectancy over 81. And there's other countries that I did not mention. Ireland. All right. France, I might not have mentioned. Switzerland, I might not have mentioned. The United States peaked at 2014 at a little under 79 years old, 78 it appears. And in 2018, we are going down. That's right. So when you think don't have the FDA, don't have the USDA, stop regulations with regard to water, sewer, garbage, it does have an effect. Your food supply allowed to have bad chemicals in it that's banned by other countries in the world. Now you understand why these other countries have longer lives. Here's the Fed, the Federal Reserve, overnight repurchase agreements. Once again, look at the numbers. 2021. There's a blip. 2025. And there is a higher blip in the month of November. That is in billions of dollars, $30 billion. They're adding to the money supply, buying up their friends' stocks, buying up bonds, doing all kinds of things. Do you not see danger zones yet? Another danger zone. Multifamily vacancy index, that's apartments. So when people were saying, oh yeah, get the apartments, I too, hey, get apartments. Occupancy rates are increasing. You know why? People are getting laid off. People are losing their jobs. There's tariffs. Things cost more. The insurance costs more. So they have to raise their prices for rentals. People can't afford them. So people move out. It's that simple. Look where it's at. This is the highest number since 2020. Just saying. All right. Bad signs. Here's the Treasury. December 4th. The Treasury, $2 billion on the Treasury debt buyback operation. $2 billion overnight, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? I can't. I'm sorry. This is out of control what's happening right now. This is how you stay liquid. That means they have to print more money. That means there's a deficit. That means that increases inflation. Anybody have any questions? Prices up in the U.S. Fox News. This is probably from 2 weeks ago. Coffee, 18.9% for everybody on podcast. Utilities up 11.7%. Electricity up 5.1%. You know, electricity and coffee, utilities are not calculated for the consumer inflation number. So when somebody gaslights you and says it's 3% or 2.8%, what happens when you add utilities at 11%, electricity at 5.1%? Clearly, it's nowhere near 3%, is it? What happens when you add the grocery bill? And that could potentially be another 15 to 20%. All that is left out. Plus, like they have here, vehicle repair at 11.5%. Yeah, people need their cars repaired. They're not buying new cars, so their cars are a little older. Now it's costing you 11, 12% more for car repairs. And when car repairs cost hundreds of dollars, $100 per hour or $80 per hour, that extra $8 to $20 per hour starts adding up. Economic conditions, here we go. This is on the Fox News poll. Nation, negative. 76% of people say it's negative. 25% say it's positive. What's very interesting is, remember, the top 10% own 93% of the stock market. They also own the most amount of wealth over the bottom 90%, the bottom 90%. Just keep that in mind. So yes, there would be, these people would be saying, oh yeah, 20, we could easily find 25% that would be fine. Those would be the privileged, right? The guys that say, oh yeah, I work for government. They gave me a nice cushy job. Oh, and all this, right? By choice. But that's not enough people if you want to sustain the economy. Personally, 60% negative, 40% positive for the economy. That's on Fox News. That's in the middle of November. Here we go again. ETFs are being shorted at the fastest pace ever in history. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They are shorting the ETFs. That's right, the rich guys. They're believing there's going to be a stock market crash. Well, if you go by 1920s, roaring 20s, and look at what the government did then you would understand why they're doing it now. Now they're saying, oh, this is a Michael Burry moment. Let me short the markets. So when he says I'm shorting the market, how do you know which markets he's shorting? Unless he tells you. You don't know what he's shorting. That's the thing. So just because he says I'm shorting the market, does that mean he's shorting ETFs? Does that mean he's shorting the S&P 500, NASDAQ, Russell 2000? What's he actually shorting? That's the real question you need to find out. All right? But nonetheless, you can see here record highs in 2025, ladies and gentlemen. That gives you an idea what the top 10% are thinking is going to happen. This right here tells you. You're going to be in denial? Don't be in denial, because we have some other things that we need to talk about right now. This right here, get your 0% interest up to 24 months. Black Friday, I saw a company, I don't recall what it was, I thought I saved it, that had 0% interest for 36 months. I could not find it. So we're going to have to go with 0% for 24 months. That's why you need your debt resolved. You need it great so you can get these cards. You need a 0% card for 24 months. There's going to be a 36 month. You want to get your debt resolved, resolution done. You want to get it where somebody's going to help you out, just like if you're a rich person and they get their debt resolution done. You can do it too. Tracy, Tracy, .sharpe, SHARP as in Paul E, at moneyladder.com. The link will be down below in the description box. 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, you can get it done. So start now, because you have 1 year, 1 month to buy assets, mainly the stock market. ETFs as well, VOO, VOOG, VTI, and things like that. S&P 500 index, SPY, QQQ. I know I talked about that fast, but that's why you should always have your pen, pad, and paper. And that's why you can always hit rewind. I love you guys very much. But we still got a little bit more to go. This video appears to be about 45 minutes. I haven't made one of these in a long time. But hey, we got to do it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we have to do it. Have to do it. 0% interest. That's what I need you to do. I need your credit score over. Well, I want it 775 is shooting for the stars. If you already have that, great. Because next year, or maybe now, if you can find it, 0% interest for 36 months, 3 years. Do you understand how that could save a substantial amount of people? If you could use that charge for a month or two, and you know all you're going to have to do is pay your annual fee plus just whatever their minimum is, and it won't matter because it's 0% interest. Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, you got to work at it. Get your credit score up. 720, 750. Okay, fine. You can get this right now. But 775, there's going to be special offers for all those with high credit later after things go sideways. So just keep all that in mind. So I just wanted you to have this on the screen so you would see that there is more than just talk here. Market cap weight, top 10% largest U.S. stocks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just think about this. United States Stock Exchange is the biggest in the world. What this actually means is, you remember that number I told you, the top 10% of the wealthiest own 93% of the stock market? What this is now is a take on that. The top 10% of the largest stock companies, the wealthiest, look at this. Their market cap weight is over 75%. It's like 77, 78%. Just the top 10. What about the bottom 90% of stocks? What are they doing? The stock market is heavily weighted for winners. That's why the stock market's indexes usually goes up, because they take the ones that are losing out and put in the latest winners. That's why they're always able to win. And that's why you like to keep your money in index funds. Just some of the ones I mentioned, SPY, QQQ, SCHD, people like that, VOO, Vanguard groups, right? Okay, so this is why they have so many assets under management, because they are heavily invested in these top 10% of the largest U.S. stocks plus a few others. So that the stock market goes up, the top 10% are benefiting the most. Just keep that in mind. All right. If anybody has any questions, you know where the comment section is. Just ask. That looks like it's it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys are thinking, but the bad signs, no excuses, no fear. Don't worry about it, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to learn how to make money the old-fashioned way. Earn it. And there's one thing, the stock market is not going away. So therefore, if you can learn how to trade, take your time, study just like anything else. Go under apprenticeship. You study, you got that candlestick Bible. Start reading that. Start messing around with download the Coinbase. Get your MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5. Those are basic type of scenarios. And that way you can learn. There's demo mode on CoinEx. So you don't have to put your own real money in there. You can just run a demo mode. So then that way you can start practicing and take your time. If it takes you 1 month, so what? If it takes you 3 months, so what? If it takes you 5, 6, 7, 8 months, that you feel comfortable. So you are at a higher win rate than learning on the fly and losing money. That's the thing. You don't want to learn on the fly and lose money. A lot of people start going, I just need to trade. So you get in and you think you know something. Sure. But the odds of you becoming a winner is slim, because just remember this. If you are doing day trading, 95% of day traders are losers. Just keep that in mind. So therefore, just humble yourself out here. Study, do the demo, find out if you're being profitable by the trades, how many per 10 trades are being successful. That gives you a gauge. You want it to be over 50, 60, 70% if you can get there. Because if my eyes, if you can't get there, then what's the point? If you're only going to win 4 out of 10 times or 3 out of 10 times, the other 6 times you took L's. So to make up those L's, that means when you do win, you have to recover that and go above that. So it's a lot harder going from a 3 out of 10 versus a 6 or 7 out of 10. And once you get good, maybe you get higher rates than that, which means you retire at that point. If you can get like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, you would be like, okay, I can sit here and do this and be at the house and hang out. And because you're not trading every second, every minute. A lot of people have a misconception. It's like you can watch the graphs and the charts and you'll see something come up and you'll be like, oh yeah, this is kind of what I'm looking for. That's why you need the Candlestick Bible. And again, download the CoinEx down below. You can download other brokers as well, but I just like it because they're not regulating the USA. We're going to be talking about a crypto debit card, because you can load up to CoinEx using your crypto. The main ones, of course, the USDT, UCDC, and all that. And then you can download it to an offshore Visa debit card. And that way you can swipe anywhere in the world, withdraw anywhere in the world. All right. If anybody has any questions, all links are down below, including the Bancus app. You have to order the cards. There's a plastic one, there's a metal one, and that's it. All right. Just so you guys understand. No KYC. Did you hear that? Okay. Now, please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here, ladies and gentlemen. And because I love you, I want you to understand there's a lot of pain going on, even though oftentimes people don't say there's a lot of pain because they're trying to keep everything together, right? And the numbers don't lie. Incoming is going to be disastrous. The rich, they're just getting richer. The poor are just getting poorer. And that teeter-totter effect, if you said we have 100 and 300 million people and 150 people are on each end, what happens when the wealthy guys start going up? Because it's getting heavier on this side, because more people are sliding down. So then it's 60% down here. Then it's 70% down here. Then it's 80% down here. The rich got rich, but 70% of the population are scraping by. That is not a healthy country. So get on board, ladies and gentlemen. Get out of debt. Try to get it reduced. There's ways to make it happen. Look for the loan resolution team, Tracy tracy.sharpe, S-H-A-R-P-E at moneyladder.com. Tracy.sharpe at moneyladder.com. And down below in the descriptions, you'll find that link. And the card, the crypto debit card, down below, you'll find that. There are Tuesdays and Thursdays a Zoom call, so you can check it out, so people will be talking about it. And you have everything in order. Some of the tools you need. If you haven't downloaded any of the brokerage accounts, Robinhood, Webull, and Moomoo, the links are down below. If you need some credit to help improve your credit score, look down below in the description box. It's all there for you. And I love you guys. And make sure, no matter what, in this stress and duress of the Christmas and holiday seasons, keep your head up. Keep moving. And I'm out.